Hello, everyone. Today we're looking at the 2024 Red Bull Cup match between T1 and G2. Although this exhibition game featured lane swaps, during the champion selection process, I could still sense that G2 had a strong intent to outplay T1. The chosen combinations were extremely targeted and aggressive. It felt like no matter whether T1 picked Ambisa or not, G2 was determined to play their setup Ziggs, Yasuo, Diana. But T1 still honestly plays some basic characters. Rekkles' famous character Sivir is of course taken. Dorn, the newcomer, goes to jungle. Naturally, they are stabilizing the lineup by playing tank well. It seems that the only ones who are really enjoying it are Gumayusi and Warner. Of course, that was before I saw Faker choosing Bard. If Gumayusi and Warner are here to have fun in this match, then Faker is really here to have freedom. Watching his mastery of Bard makes me feel that we are so close to the god. It's just the mid lane and support, after all. This game is really so familiar. Of course, this is all a joke. Let's take a look at this match and see how wonderful Faker's Bard is. How was the game? Let's continue watching. At the start, seeing Faker's bot lane laning phase immediately reminded me of something Wolf said a long time ago. Faker really doesn't understand bot lane matchups. Looking at Faker's support positioning, he's standing outside the left bush, constantly hitting the opponent's heads. This is not how a support should play. Faker's understanding of the bot lane is completely reversed. Normally, the AD carry should be the one standing on the left side, ready to attack, while the support should draw fire and aggro. But Faker's playstyle is entirely different. In the past, when he played AD carry, Wolf criticized him for staying hidden in the bush and never stepping out. Now, as a support, he's standing on the left side, completely disregarding what Wolf said back then. During the laning phase, Faker's use of abilities was also quite abstract. For example, his Q was, well, really strange. As for the bot lane, after watching it, the camera shifted to the top lane. This moment with Caps was incredibly unfortunate. He was so close. If he had chosen to click the ground to gain movement speed and flash forward to chase, he probably could have secured Gumayusi's kill. But in the end, it was clear he didn't click the ground. It seemed like he thought clicking on the champion's head would be enough to finish the job. But he missed the bite, and that was it. No more chances. With so much health traded in the top lane and no flashes left, it all came down to whose jungler arrived first. Whoever came would take the win. So, who showed up? It was Sejuani. Congratulations, straight to the top, securing the kill with ease. Even if the knock-up didn't land, it wouldn't have mattered. This was an easy kill regardless. After the first gank, they took it even further. Faker's Bard rotated to the top side. No flash, wave pushing outward. Congratulations, another kill secured. Ambisa was having an incredibly smooth time. This should have been a fantastic game for Gumayusi, but unfortunately, only one kill was handed over in the end, and the advantage wasn't as overwhelming as it initially seemed. Before heading to the top side, Faker first rotated back to defend bot lane. In this play, Faker attempted to target Diana, attacking for quite a while, but his final Q wasn't timed well and completely missed. Then, his exhaust usage was also very questionable. The opponent was clearly trying to escape, so at the very least, save exhaust for someone actually dealing damage. As a result, all the abilities ended up wasted. Q missed, exhaust misused. However, in the end, he did manage to open a portal that allowed Owner to escape successfully. So, you could say it was a draw, barely. At least his mid laner wasn't put in jeopardy because of him. Now let's talk about the top side. In this play, even though there was already a gap in levels and items between the two sides, Trundle was still too dominant early on. Once his ultimate drained Gumayusi's dual defenses, there was no way to fight back, forcing a retreat. Adding to that, Galio came in for support, making the outcome inevitable. They were completely overrun. It just goes to show that Trundle is indeed overwhelmingly strong in lane. However, as a champion, he's just not one to secure wins in the game overall. At the 10-minute mark, things were incredibly difficult for T1. Not a single lane was having a comfortable time. In this play, Sivir was struggling hard in the bottom lane, getting bullied relentlessly by Trundle. It was so painful, there was basically no chance to play. Sivir even came dangerously close to being solo killed. At best, this was all they could manage. The camera then shifted to the mid lane, which looked even worse. Yone had no room to make plays, and both mid and bot lanes were beaten down to scraps. The only potential point of attack was the top side, but the opponent was Ziggs, who could teleport and clear waves, leaving no opportunities to exploit. At such a critical moment, Faker decided to make a play. He pulled off a bold move, a mysterious portal. But why did he make it so short? Even if the portal had been perfectly executed, it didn't seem like they could have made a successful play from it. This portal, to be honest, was quite awkward. Watching this moment made me feel that Faker is surprisingly relatable. It turns out we're not so far from Faker after all. I can open a portal like that too. The match reached the 11-minute mark, and they were preparing to contest the Void Grubs. Before the fight began, the camera shifted to the bot lane. Sivir had already used her flash to escape earlier, and this time, there was really no way out. She was immediately caught and taken down with a brutal beating. However, when the camera shifted to the top side, something unexpectedly good happened. I was quite surprised by this play. Looking at Faker's Bard level, he was only level 5, while the enemy support was already level 7. With such a level gap, how could they possibly win? It's simple. Rely on your teammates. If your teammates play well, you can win. Ambisa, Yone, and Sejuani were the ones dealing the damage in this fight, and it didn't seem like Faker had much to do with it. But somehow, despite being only level 5, Faker was still able to win this team fight easily. Did he even reach level 6? After taking down so many opponents, he still hadn't reached level 6. But hey, he opened a portal and chased forward. At least this time, the portal was correctly placed, trapping Ziggs. In the end, Faker successfully secured Ziggs' kill. However, the earlier Void Grubs fight really did look pretty weak. If you pay attention to how Faker played this wave, he was walking around, just casually moving back and forth. When it came to using his abilities, who did he target? He wasted all his skills, and it wasn't even clear who he was attacking. But in the end, he did manage to heal up a bit. Well, at least he provided some healing, so thumbs up for that. At the 13-minute mark, T1 set their sights on the top side again, preparing to catch Trundle. However, T1 didn't have Ignite. Even though Trundle was only level 10, his healing abilities were incredibly strong. Without Ignite, it was very difficult for the three of them to take him down. On top of that, there was still the presence of Galio. So, this play couldn't work either. As a result, the mid lane was left wide open, and the enemy team was able to take down the mid turret. However, T1 quickly adjusted their strategy. Since 3 people couldn't take down Trundle earlier, this time they opened a portal and brought in 4. Could they have a chance now? Congratulations, Trundle finally went down. Mainly because he didn't have flash. But even with this kill, I don't feel like T1 lost too much. After all, both mid and bot lanes were completely in G2's control. Meanwhile, Honor seemed to be just having fun this match. He had no intention of playing seriously. Whenever he wanted to make a play, he just went for it. Without any help from teammates, he was quickly caught and killed. Now, this was truly a wide, open situation for the enemy. At the 19-minute mark, T1 decided to focus on Yasuo in the mid lane. In this play, Sejuani and Bard's execution was a bit unfortunate, as they missed quite a few abilities. The main issue was with Sejuani. She could have used her E to stick to Yasuo before casting it, but the details weren't executed well. In the end, they had to use her ultimate to secure the kill, successfully taking down the enemy. At the same time, while the camera focused on the mid lane, things weren't just happening there. Ambisa was also being targeted. Gumayusi initially thought he was safe, but he was quickly focused on. The enemy had both Trundle and Galio, so could he really survive this? At first, it seemed like he might hold on, but soon, the entire enemy team showed up, and they even used teleport. With all those ultimates coming at him, there was absolutely no way to escape. However, T1 didn't waste this rare opportunity. In this play, they knew that G2 had already used most of their ultimates, and one of their players was lazily returning to base and got caught and killed. With the 20-minute mark approaching, was it time to take the dragon? T1 quickly began the dragon. Trundle still had 10 seconds left, and T1's composition was taking the dragon very quickly, but they couldn't effectively stop G2 from contesting. The ideal play would still be to initiate a fight, so Faker decided to try and move forward. After the wind wall was used, there was no opening, so he opted to engage head-on and see how the fight went. After Diana threw an explosive bomb into the fight, who did it hit? It only hit Ambisa. Yasuo couldn't find a good target to hit. In the end, Bard managed to catch 4 people, but Trundle revived and teleported in. With Diana down and G2 lacking smite, this was a perfect opportunity to take the Baron. However, Ziggs ignored Trundle and decided to focus on fighting instead. As a result, when the damage reached 500, the gold shield was removed, and Doran managed to secure the Baron. It was very unfortunate, as they were so close. After that, the subsequent team fight was completely one-sided, with T1 getting steamrolled without any chance. At the 27-minute mark, after the last dragon widened the economic gap, G2 was left with no choice but to rely on a split-push strategy. Trundle was charging forward, trying to catch people, but in this play, no one could assist him. Instead, T1 proactively used their teleport. Now, if we're talking about a one-on-one fight, who would come out on top? I didn't feel too confident about it either, but the key point here was that T1 called in a lot of people to the fight, and after costing so many members to engage, the Baron had to be given up. Now it was Doran's turn to shine. Could they win the contest for the dragon? It all rested on him. But unfortunately, the smite contest didn't go through. Yone even missed his ultimate in this play. It was clear that he was desperate. It was a real shame that they couldn't secure the steal. At that point, I thought they'd have to let G2 go. But to my surprise, T1's fighting spirit was incredibly strong. After interrupting Galio's ultimate, Faker's Bard landed a perfect ultimate, catching 2 people. His teammates then went all in, chasing down the opponents. The only one who managed to escape was Galio, who hit Rekkles early and managed to get away after 4 seconds. Doran played extremely aggressively in this fight, charging forward relentlessly. In the end, he managed to secure 2 more kills, which was a huge gain for T1. At the 29.5-minute mark, the longest team fight of the match began. It started with a 1 versus 2 situation on the top lane, where Caps was using a split-push strategy. So, 2 players from T1 came over to catch him. In a 1 versus 2, he couldn't hold his own, and the fight quickly escalated. Trundle was having a rough time. He wasn't level 16 yet, and his items weren't in great shape. He bought the split-push hammer, but it wasn't enough to compete with Sivir. In the end, Trundle was easily bullied and got completely outplayed. After Trundle went down, the camera shifted to the bot lane, where T1 was also engaging in a fight. It was a 3 versus 3 situation at first, but with the addition of a teleport, it became a 4v3, making the situation very unfavorable for T1. Faker had just finished recalling and was on his way to provide support, but by the time he arrived, it seemed like his teammates had already been mostly taken down, and the situation looked bleak. However, to everyone's surprise, when Faker made it to the bot lane, he started hitting with basic attacks, landing his Q, and using basic attacks again. He quickly secured a triple kill. To see Bard played so joyfully by Faker was something else. Watching the player cam, it was rare to see Faker smile so happily while playing League of Legends. He'd usually only smile like that after killing his teammates. Finally, with the Baron respawning, the game came down to its last fight. However, G2 completely messed up this final play before the Baron respawned. T1 took the initiative and engaged in a team fight. The key moment was Diana's positioning. She should have been able to find a good angle. But when she rushed in, what did she do? She flashed in but missed her ultimate and it ended up using her gold card in place. My goodness. Once Diana failed to land her combo, it was all downhill from there. Trundle was caught in the gold card and still had flash, but it didn't matter. At this point in the game, with Diana down, the enemy team's combo couldn't come together. And with that, the game ended. After 35 minutes, losing the dragon meant that T1 was now facing a Sivir in the team fight. At that point, there was no way to win unless they could somehow take her down immediately. But Rekkles had flash, so it wasn't that easy to catch her. In the end, T1 secured the victory in this exhibition match. That wraps up today's review. See you next time.